back to another episode of the Wild Wisdom Podcast. I'm your host, Alyssa Finnig. I'm so happy you're here with me today. My next guest is a dear friend of mine and an energy therapist. So she's going to talk about energy healing. She's helped my dog so much and so many people that I know as well. So she's going to share more about energy therapy and her background and what she does. But before we get started, I always want everyone to know, so if you're driving, taking me along on your walk or cooking dinner, don't worry, because there will be links to everything we talk about, including Lisa's website at alyssafinnig.com/podcast. So before I dive in, this episode is sponsored by Embark Yoga and Holistic Health, an urban sanctuary in the heart of Indianapolis, offering yoga classes, massage therapy, and holistic practices rooted in connecting the innate wisdom of the body with the mind in order to help you find true healing. Through dynamic movement, deep relaxation, natural remedies, and holistic self-care, Embark's team of wellness professionals can help you remain healthy as you age, stay sane while managing stress, and feel good every day of your life. Go to embarkyoga.com to learn more. I won't make you wait any longer, so let's go ahead and dive into today's topic. Lisa, thank you for being here today. I really appreciate it. So I like to always start out with people talking about their holistic journey, or even, it doesn't have to be holistic, but their journey to doing what they do as a profession today. What led you here? What your story is. And sharing that, because it helps the audience relate, because they may have a similar story and be looking for answers, and then they find this episode and then they find that, oh my gosh, I went through the same thing, or I'm going through the same thing, and wow, energy therapy, I've never even thought about that. And so it really helps people relate. So I just start out, share your story.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. My story started back in my 20s. Shortly out of college, I started getting sick, and I didn't quite know what was going on. I was tired. I was in pain. It felt like my body was falling apart. And gradually more and more symptoms started happening, and so I headed to the doctor, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. Finally, I found some information on fibromyalgia and took that into the doctor and asked them, what do you think? Is this, what's going on here? And they did. They sent me to a specialist, and I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which was pretty rare, especially 25 years ago, to have somebody so young diagnosed with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then along with that, it just started accumulating other issues, irritable bowel syndrome, TMJ, chronic headaches. They just kept multiplying and multiplying. I went for years going to the doctors, trying different medications and different therapies and different things, and nothing seemed to help. It was just getting worse. And so I decided it was time for me to take charge of my own health. And I started researching a little bit more about nutrition and wellness, the mind-body connection, and finding out just how important lifestyle is. And through all of my research, I started making changes to my diet, to how I thought, to how I exercised, to just pretty much everything in my life. And roughly 8 to 10 years after I was diagnosed, I no longer had any of it, which was pretty crazy.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and it was one of those things that it's, things accumulated and then things just started dropping off. And before I knew it, it was like, wait a minute, I no longer have headaches. And wow, I no longer have pain when I wake up. I no longer feel like I ran a marathon every day of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So that was amazing in itself. Felt like a very long journey. Even though it was only 8 to 10 years, it felt like it was a lifetime to go through that.
That's still a long time, though. And people don't realize how long it takes to bring your body back to homeostasis, back to balance, and how much work it takes. The working with exercise, nutrition, holistic therapies if needed, or with your physicians and things like that. But it's not an overnight. It took a long time for you to get, fibromyalgia, for that to manifest, for headaches, all kinds of other stuff. So it takes a long time and it feels even longer, I know.
Right.
But it takes a long time to help reverse that. And just like you mentioned, sometimes it's subtle shifts, because when we're feeling good, we don't always realize, oh, wow, I don't have headaches anymore. And then we come to that realization for whatever reason, and we're like, that did work. That totally helped.
Yes, yes. And so part of me was just like, wow, like I finally healed all of that. I've got to share this. I've got to help other people. If my journey was that long, maybe I can help shorten somebody else's journey by, providing the same information. So I just decided, okay, I've got to become a nutritionist or something with nutrition to go out there and help people. And so my journey kind of began. In the midst of all of that, I also had golden retrievers. And my first golden retriever ended up having a major reaction, a drug reaction, and his immune system went into chaos mode. And so while I was researching stuff for myself, I was also researching for him, trying to figure out nutrition and lifestyle and products and all those things, how I could help him. So I switched him completely over to a raw diet, all natural products, and helped him in his healing process too. Didn't get him all the way there yet, but helped him out a lot. And then I also rescued a second golden retriever who had been abused and neglected, came with a host of health issues himself, and so quickly switched him over to the same lifestyle and got him feeling better too. And it was that accumulative effect of me and them all feeling better, like, wow, I've got to do something with this now. So I started looking into nutrition and other lifestyle type of trainings to see what I could do. Met with a group in town and just to see, who I might be able to sit down and talk with. And during that meeting, I was introduced to energy therapy. And oh my gosh, I was home. Like as soon as I found out what this was, I was like, I've got to learn more. Like I just knew I was so drawn to it. So that's when I decided to take my first Reiki class and become a Reiki practitioner. Love that, but felt like it was one perspective because that's, coming from Japan, it's got a more Eastern perspective to it. And so then I was introduced to Healing Touch and love that it had a more Western perspective, a more medical perspective to it because it was put together by a holistic nurse. Initially for nurses, and then they realized just how important it was and opened it up to everybody else. So that became my foundation, was the Reiki and the Healing Touch. Getting certified in those and just building over years of knowledge and wisdom and techniques, and then added lots of others onto that. So my boys, my Goldens, got to be my guinea pigs or my testers for everything, and they loved it. I mean, that's when I really saw not only did the raw diet and helping them live more species appropriate type of lifestyle, but when I added that energy therapy in, man, they just thrived. All their health issues went away. They were great. Anytime they had anything, like one of them cracked a tooth on a bone that they were chewing on, post-surgery, doing energy work on him, cleared the anesthesia from his body quickly, healed his mouth quickly. The vets could not believe just how fast he healed from that. And with my other boy, I got to help release a lot of the trauma that he had stuck in him that I didn't know how to, help him get through that other than just loving on him as much as I did. But the energy therapy really helped him release that trauma. And so, yeah, I was sold. Like, this is what I am meant to be doing, is energy therapy. But then it was kind of like, okay, I love energy therapy, but I also love nutrition. Like that side of things, that lifestyle, it's just so important. So I kind of did a full circle and became a certified integrative health coach. And now I can incorporate everything together. So when a client comes to see me, not only can I offer them that energy therapy and that support there, but I can also, ask questions and offer suggestions for lifestyle changes and nutrition changes that can help support them in their healing journey. And so that's what I do now, and I absolutely love it.
And I love that your life journey led you to share this with everyone else, because it's so important for people who, maybe experience similar things, with chronic pain, fibromyalgia, or just not feeling whole for whatever reason and not understanding what to do. And with the combined approach, because I'm a huge fan of the integration of different modalities and combined approaches, because it's not just one thing. It's the integration that is really helpful. Lifestyle changes, nutrition, different therapies, whether they're a blend of Eastern or Western or whatnot. It's huge. And I know because you're the one who introduced me to energy therapy. And I, have learned more and more and embraced it. And now not only do I get it. I'm not an energy therapist. I get it for myself. And I understand it even more now. And, we'll talk about a little bit of the work you've done with my dog and how profound that's been and for her. And then, but also, I'll send a lot of my yoga therapy clients to you. And I have seen them really, especially if there's been a lot of trauma. So it's really getting that energetic layer or working with their energy field or whatever's going on where they can, yoga as a therapy and the yogic practices are tools, and they're very helpful tools, and they're practices you have to do every day, but it is not, and you can manipulate your energy, but it's not energy therapy. And so I've seen a lot of them be very successful in helping either connect the dots, release things they've been holding on to, whenever, getting their chakras balanced with you, all of that, but just being very helpful as another modality. So tell me, how long have you been an energy therapist, and will you share with the audience what energy therapy is?
Yes. First of all, I do want to mention, as you were talking about integration, I feel it's super important to integrate not only the holistic world, but also the modern world. Bringing in the medical doctors, bringing in whatever your team is. And that's really, for me, what's the combination of things that are going to unlock their journey for them. And it may be 3 different modalities. It may be a medical doctor with some medicine. It may be lots of different things, but everybody thinks there's like this one magic modality or one magic pill. And I'm a big believer, just because of my background and what I've seen with all of my clients, there's that special combination for everybody. And you've got to try different things, find practitioners you're attracted to, find modalities you're attracted to, try the different combinations. And once you find the right one, man, it's amazing, magical stuff can happen for the body and the mind.
Totally agree. So yeah, tell the audience, how long have you been doing this work? Because I know it evolves over time. That's sort of how it happens. And then just, you shared a little bit about Reiki and Healing Touch, but really what is energy therapy? Because I also know every energy therapist practices a little differently, it seems like.
Yes. So I have been a certified practitioner for 10 years. Okay. And in that time, I've done Reiki, Healing Touch, shamanic healing, energy psychology, or the tapping, EFT type of things that I incorporate in, Healing Touch for animals, energy therapy with animals, animal communication, lots of different techniques and modalities that I like to combine. The Healing Touch and the Reiki are the basis, especially the Healing Touch, because that was such an extensive program to go through. It really set a solid foundation for me in working with intention and working with my hands and being there as the conduit for that energy to come in. So yeah, while I have that foundation, I'm always looking, for new modalities, new tools for my toolkit, because you just never know what a client's going to need. And I like having different tools there to be able to access that are specific for them. So no 2 sessions are ever the same.
That's exactly how I work. I always joke about the toolbox. Like, I have a toolbox of practices, and because when I explain what I do as a yoga therapist, just like you as an energy therapist, and I know you're more than that, but just using that role for now. But it's like, it's sometimes hard to explain, because you will pull out and use the tools that are right for them in that moment. And everybody is different. Or, when they're getting energy therapy, the day, the week, the month is different from the last session or whatnot. And you mentioned, so extensive training in Healing Touch. I think that's important for everyone to know, because not all energy therapists are the same, or people who call themselves energy therapists, just like not all yoga teachers are the same, especially versus yoga therapists, a certified yoga therapist. They need to be. I'm a big proponent of make sure, you're certified. And, just like I interviewed in a previous episode, my friend who's a psychologist. So not all mental health therapists are the same. And always be discerning in who you're seeking out. And Healing Touch, and it's not a discount of any other energy therapy type of modality, but you and another therapist or energy therapist that I know, like, you do lots of education, and you have done extensive training. It's not just like you found it and you're like, oh, I love this and I'm going to share it with the world. I took one Reiki class and I'm going to share it with the world, which is great as an intention, but you have to do the training and invest in that. And I know you have. And I think that's so important. So just for everyone out there, anytime that you are involving, engaging someone, whether it's a nutrition coach, an energy therapist, that you're really discerning and understanding their qualifications and that they've really done some training and have experience and not just doing this as a side hustle and just did one class or something like that. It's important. And of course, it took 10 years for you to be where you are and have all the integration of modalities that you use in your sessions. But you set yourself apart in what you've done and continue to train in. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I think it's always important to note because a lot of times we have to sift through things. And I just know personally through friends and things, they've had experiences with certain, practitioners and they're like, that didn't make me feel good or whatever. And I'm like, well, they're not trained, but I always use my Gold's Gym yoga teacher story in kind of the yoga world of, I remember going to a class at Gold's Gym and the yoga teacher, I was like, that was not yoga. What in the world was that? But she had a certification, like a weekend certification for the gym. And I'm like, that's not real yoga. But for those people who'd never experienced it, they were like, well, that was okay. So the same thing with energy therapy. We want people to actually feel and experience something that's quality with your type of background, not some woo-woo thing or whatever, and with minimal experience, because unfortunately that exists. So I always like to tell people, be discerning in who you work with.
Absolutely.
Great.
They not only need to have that intention and coming from the heart, but having that wisdom and that knowledge is super important.
Yeah, definitely.
And if a lot of healers will be like, I'll heal you. You need to use caution there because that's, even though that's our, one of the titles is used as a healer, we're there to support you because it's the body that's doing the healing. You are doing the healing as the client, not me. I am merely there as support and clearing and balancing things for you. You do the healing.
Yes.
So I don't use healer a lot for myself. I like practitioner because it's, people get a misconception that you're going to wave your hands over somebody and everything's magically going to be fixed. And that's just not how it works.
I have that same issue. I have a hard time. I've even had to work on embracing the word healer because I'm a mirror or a guide as you navigate your own healing. And because, people do need expertise and professionals to help them. But you're clearing, you're rebalancing, but their body does heal itself and you're just making space for that to happen. So thank you, because we're totally on the same page. That's why we're friends and we get this. But I think everyone needs to realize that, but because there are a lot, holistic practitioners and physicians and medical doctors and mental health professionals, we're all humans. So we also have our own egos and we have our own agendas sometimes that can shine through, personal things. And we have to learn to separate that and make sure it's about the person that we're trying to help and not our own ego's stuff.
Right. Yeah. And even though we may be experts in our field, they are the expert on themselves.
Yes.
So exactly. The client is always, by helping them understand that and getting them in tune with themselves, is going to help them more than prescribing something or telling them to go home and do a certain exercise or a certain, energy technique, because they need to take charge. And I think that's what was a big shift in my life in my 20s, is that when I finally took charge, I wasn't just looking to other people to say, fix me, fix me, fix me. Even though I joke about fix me now, with my clients. I really, once I said I'm taking charge of my health, that's when things shifted. That whole intention and the mindset and the energy behind what you're going to do is huge.
I'm so glad you said that, because it's so so huge, because a lot of people, because we're kind of raised in that, like, oh, well, I just need a pill and it'll help fix me, or I just need this, or, we're like lost puppies looking for help. And, we have to look. And sometimes that's where we start because we don't know. But yes, I think it was a poem, the Invictus poem, and I have this like written up. It's like, you are the master of your own fate. You are the captain of your soul. And I think I liked it so much because I have another friend who's a holistic practitioner, and you know her. And she always said, you are the captain of your own ship. And I'm like, yes, you are the captain of your own ship. But yes, do you need help navigating and things like that? Yes.
Right. We all need a crew to help us
exactly,
out.
Right?
As much as we'd love to do everything ourselves sometimes, we need that support.
Well, and that's the other side of it, asking for help, and yeah, getting that support. And what a great analogy. I love that. So, let's dive in a little more to energy therapy. Okay. and sharing some of that.
So let's talk a little bit about energy itself.
Yes.
So for thousands of years, all the ancient cultures understood energy, understood the energy body, which we'll talk about in a second too. And then for some reason, when the modern world came along, we kind of got away from that because we couldn't see it with our eyes or a microscope. But now that we have got quantum physics and better microscopes and better technology, we are now coming full circle again back to energy. And so energy is really, everything is energy that vibrates and is at a frequency. And so that then vibrates at that frequency to create form and structure, which is where we get matter. So that's what was kind of the missing link. They were all talking about matter and what they can see and, all that. Now we know that, okay, that matter, yes, is there, but it's all created by energy. So everything around us is energy. So
thank you, quantum physicists, for confirming what the ancients knew all along.
Yes.
We appreciate that.
And two quotes that I love. So Einstein said, everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. So simple. And then Tesla said, if you want to know the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So there were people along the route that still kept that ancient knowledge of everything is energy, but they had to kind of fight against the system to say, yes, you guys are looking from one perspective, but really there's this bigger perspective of energy. So now we're coming full circle and seeing energy therapy being introduced into major medical facilities and hospitals and things all over the world. And they're talking about in the future of having every medical office will have not only a health coach in it, but we'll also have an energy practitioner in it because it just works so well with everything else that they do.
I'm getting chills just as you say that. Like, I love that concept. It would just totally radically change healthcare in general.
Yes. And we are definitely heading back into that integrative approach because they're realizing that, yes, medications are great. Yes, modern medicine is great, but there's still so much we don't know. We know a lot. We know a lot more than we did, 200 years ago, but there's still so much we don't know. And so for those things that we don't know and the things that we do know, we can impact those energetically. So let's just talk a little bit about the energy body and the physical body.
Sure.
So we know in the physical body that there are all kinds of systems in there, and those systems need to flow. So we have the blood that needs to flow. We have the lymphatic system, the digestion, the bladder, everything needs to flow in balance. When we have congestion in any of those areas, that's when we start having health challenges. So that is the physical body with all those different systems that, you can look up in any book about medicine and about the body. So the energy body, the three main components of that, there's a lot more than that, but we'll just touch on the three today. We have our energy field, also called the biofield, and that has multiple layers to it for the humans. A little bit different for animals, but for humans we have multiple layers. Then you have the energy centers, also known as chakras. That's probably the most popular word here in the West is chakras for those. Those run from the base of the tailbone all the way up to the top of the head are the 7 main chakras. Then we have minor chakras throughout the body and outside of the body too. But those are the ones that we mostly hear about, whether you're in a yoga class or a meditation or energy work, chakra balancing. Those are the things that they work with. And then we also have the meridian system. Those are the energy pathways that are connecting all of those, the biofield and the energy centers. Now we realize, as technology is getting better, they've actually discovered what they're calling now the premovascular system.
Mm-hmm.
That is the meridians,
Mm-hmm.
one and the same. And they're saying that that is part of the cardiovascular system.
Mm-hmm.
So not only do we know that they exist from ancient cultures, talking about them, for all of those years, but now modern medicine can see the biofield, can see the chakras, and can see the meridians.
Mm-hmm.
So we can no longer say, that's woo-woo, that's crazy stuff, you guys are making it up, you're not seeing what you think. Yes, science has now validated we have these energy.
Yay, science!
Right? We have an energy body. Everybody and everything has an energy body. So it's just as important to create flow and movement in that as it is in the physical body. And the two are so intertwined, you cannot separate the two.
No, not at all.
When you impact one, you impact the other.
Mm-hmm.
So energy therapy is a practitioner utilizing their hands and their intention to clear, balance, and re-energize the energy body. So I'm not physically working with the physical body, like say a massage therapist or even yoga therapy. You are manipulating the physical body, moving it around. I am working with the energy body. So I am clearing the chakras, opening them up, making sure that everything is flowing. I'm clearing the biofield because we get lots of congestion and fun stuff out in the biofield.
Mm-hmm.
That is the first place things come into our system because it's the largest part of us.
Mm-hmm.
So by clearing all of that, we're preventing future issues and helping clear current issues.
Mm-hmm.
And then the meridian system, of course, is what they use when they're dealing with acupuncture.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily specifically go into that, but as I'm working with the chakras and with the biofield, I'm working with right.
Yeah.
It's all connected. So
Mm-hmm.
as I'm opening one, all of them are opening.
Yep.
So that's, really the intention behind energy therapy is setting that intention of the body is already balanced and cleared. And then I'm going in there and creating that intention.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a client create the intention that they would like in the session, but then I also ask for the intention that's for the highest good of that client, because where the client's at, they may not realize what's in their highest good. They may say, hey, I want this pain gone that's in my foot right now.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe there's something else that's for their highest good.
Sure.
So I'm always asking for that. When I'm communicating with their body, that energy has intelligence in it. It's not just sitting there doing robotic movements. It has intelligence. So I am speaking to that intelligence, that energy. I'm doing what I kind of call a dance with the energy when I'm in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in there feeling the flow.
Mm-hmm.
Is there congestion? Is there flow? Is there, too much flow in one area? Is there not enough flow in another area? We want things just flowing smoothly, in balance. And so, during a session, that's what I'm in there clearing and balancing things and re-energizing the system for them so that their body doesn't have to deal with any of that. It can now focus on the healing aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where we get into that needing support part, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have stress all around us, which is the number one, thing causing so many health issues these days, not only physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And so getting that stress out of the energy body just helps the physical body to relax, which then does a whole cascade of healing with the immune system, with hormones, with it just impacts every cell of the body. Mm-hmm. So that's why I love it, because I can go in there and make this huge impact in just an hour.
Yeah, I love that. I just love that. And just a little side note on the stress is, someone was telling me the other day, one of our teacher trainees, and she was like, I just had a friend who had a stress-induced heart attack. And she's just like, I didn't know that existed. I said, oh yeah, stress, whether it's from the outside, it's mechanical, emotional, whatever. Stress is stress, and stress can affect the body, not just the physical body, but the energetic body, the mental, emotional body, all of that. And it's huge. And as during the conversation, somebody else was like, oh yeah, I know someone who had a stress-induced heart attack. So they didn't find like buildup of plaque in the arteries. It was just too much stress. And so having another way to clear some of that, especially if we're not sure how, or we're working on it in other modalities, but just having the energetic layer is so important in being able to clear that.
Absolutely.
And then manage it in other ways too.
Absolutely. And right there, I mean, our lifestyles are going to impact the flow and the balance that we have.
Yeah.
So you're doing it every day by your choices. Whether you're moving, what you're eating, what you're thinking, you are impacting your flow and your balance right there. But sometimes we get overwhelmed by stress and things build up and we don't listen to the messages that our body sends us with that, knocking on the door saying, hey, I got a little pain here, or I'm super fatigued today, or whatever it is. So when we don't listen to those messages, things accumulate. And when we don't take care of those, they keep accumulating, which then ultimately end up with, some kind of diagnosis of an illness, disease, or whatever. And so that's when we got to kind of call in our crew, right? Come in and say, hey, like, can you guys help me clear this and rebalance it so that my body can now heal whatever it got into.
Yeah, definitely. So, you've worked with, I know you work with humans and you work with animals, and I've went to see you before, and I've talked about it. Like, when I first was introduced to energy therapy with you, and I had my sessions, and I had some insightful things happen, but I still didn't quite understand it. So for everyone who's listening, sometimes you're just on your journey and you experience things and you don't quite understand, and that's okay. Just continue on your journey. But now I really, really see the impact, because as a yoga therapist, we work with the energetic level, but not in the same way. We work with breath work and manipulating the energetic, and then through Thai massage, we manipulate the energetic body, all the meridians and things like that. But it's in a totally different way than what you do. But when, we'll give the example of my dog, and then you can share more about it, how it's helpful. But I recently called on Lisa to help me with my dog, my sweet Ellie. I've done a lot of behavior training with my friend Wendy, who's like a dog horse whisperer and everything. And that helped a lot, just shifting. And that was energy too, but not therapeutic. It was more of shifting the energy between us in the pack leadership and things like that. And then how, my energy and how I was managing my energy and how it affected her. But I just got to a point where I felt like it's not sustaining, or she's regressing. It's helped a lot, but something else. I need something else for her. And I had done some more energy therapy and realized how helpful it was for me, that I called on Lisa and was like, can you help my Ellie? And we've done how many sessions now?
I think we're at 8, maybe.
Yeah, but it was about 4 or 5, and you were able to clear all her chakras because my dog had been abused as a puppy, and so she suffered trauma. She's taught me a lot about trauma, and I mean, she'll sit next to me, and I touch her left hip or her bottom, and she'd jump, and I've had her over 4 years now, and so I knew I needed something else. And because I love her so much, I wanted to do something else too. And so Lisa has really helped her. And because it's sometimes subtle shifts, I shared with you, it was the lady who comes over and cleans my house. She was the one who was like, she's totally different. Because her hackles went up a little bit. She didn't bark at all. She sniffed her feet and then was like, okay, you're cool. To the point that my friend was like, maybe I need energy therapy, because she was going through a lot herself and everything. But she realized it and noticed it. And I was like, oh yeah, we've been getting energy therapy and Lisa's been helping clear her chakras and help her heal and things like that. And just knowing that, we now are spacing them out. Are we doing like once a month now or something like that? Because she's been able to maintain this openness and just seeing a different side of her. And it's really, really interesting. It's sometimes energy as a therapy is hard to explain, but really seeing it in not only helping humans, but helping animals. You want to share a little bit about your work with animals and animal communication and energy therapy there?
Sure. So my boys opened that world for me. I've been around animals my entire life. Grew up on a farm and, volunteered at Humane Society, and I've been a dog walker, a pet sitter. So I've just been around animals a lot. But my boys, during my training and during my time of healing, watching them really opened that door for me wanting to work with animals more. My training was so extensive for humans that that was my focus for many years.
Sure.
And I was just helping like friends and families, animals. But last year, the animals just really started calling to me and said, you know what, we need a lot of support too. And I just said, yes, like that is exactly where I need to go. So I got even more training specifically for animals and just started working with more and more of those, mostly dogs and cats. I have worked with horses too and hope to work with them more next year. But yeah, it's been amazing. Animals have the same systems that we do, the same physical bodies, same energy bodies. They hold trauma, they deal with stress, they live in the same world we do, so they're dealing with, you know, the same stressors that we are, whether it's poor food, you know, poor nutrition with food, emotional stress, traumas, injuries, surgeries. You know, they're dealing with the same world that we are. So we need to look at them the same that we do us and go in there and help support them in the best way possible. And the veterinary world is very similar to humans' medical world and how they treat things. And so, yeah, it was just one of those things that the animals just called and said, look, we need you. We need this extra piece coming in here and helping us support everything else that we're getting done with the vets and the other people that are supporting them. And so, yeah, for me to go in and help them, you know, whether it's an injury and it takes a couple of sessions and that's it, just to support the body's healing process over, you know, a week or two, or in Ellie's case, we've got some deep-rooted trauma. So in those cases, we do a lot more sessions, and it really depends on how the animal is opening up. And so the more flow and the more balance we can keep in her, then we start stretching the sessions out like we've done with Ellie, to where now we're kind of in a maintenance schedule with her, allowing her to open things up as she wants, because we can't force her to release that trauma how we want, even though we would love for her to just have it gone, right?
Yeah,
and just be super happy. She's going to, because she held on to it for so long. It's one of those, we just have to be patient and support her where she's at. And that's where she's at, that she decided, okay, my chakras are going to stay open, but I still have this stuff that's in there that I need help releasing. And so that's where we're at, and just continuing to release with her. And it's awesome to see the results. You know, sometimes the results aren't immediate. They're very subtle, like you said. We're dealing with subtle energy, so sometimes it can be subtle results. Sometimes there are results that are like in your face, and you could not believe that that just happened in one session because the animal or the person was ready. Like they just needed that one little extra bit of support, and they were ready to heal. And other times, you know, especially with trauma, it can take a while. And so people can't expect a quick, you know, one session done type of thing. It's something that needs continuous support. And the animal tells me and tells the parent, you know, what's going on. Like we'll see behavior wise and health wise what's going on, and we just follow their lead and support them as best we can.
Well, and you know, I share with everyone. I mean, because you know I love animals, and but they mirror us. All our animals mirror us. And so when you told me, and you didn't know this about me, and you told me, oh, well, she still has some, you know, blockages in her tail and left hip and leg. And I'm like, that's exactly where my blockages are still. And I was just like, oh, that's so mind blowing because I mean, it makes sense, but it's still like, wow. My Ellie and I are connected in so many ways, and I knew that already, and I won't get into some of the experience I've had where I knew we were connected and I could feel it in my body, but that was just like a reconfirmation, because I work with people all the time, especially animal lovers who, you know, they're telling me, and I don't always say things, you know, because if they're not open and ready, but they'll talk about their dogs, and I'm like, it's just a reflection of you. Like, so if you get yourself balanced, it's amazing how your animals or humans around you will rebalance as well. And it's very interesting. Is there anything else you want to share, you know, as we kind of wrap up and things like that? Because well, you've got a wealth of knowledge.
I know. I could talk for hours, right? So one of the things that I did want to mention was like 8 simple ways to improve flow and balance, because I feel like it's not something you have to go to somebody else to do all the time. We do it in everyday life, but we've got to be mindful and aware of it. So from the simplest breathing, You know, we get so stressed out that we're breathing shallow and we're not getting the good oxygen in that we need. And that's like such a, I mean, that's vital for life, is getting that good oxygen. So being aware of our breathing would be the first one. Hydration, making sure that we're hydrated, drinking enough water, good quality water to keep us hydrated. Allows that fluid in the body to help flow things, you know, right? The digestive system, the bladder, keeping moving toxins out of the body, nourishing through real whole foods. That's super important for so many different reasons. For the macronutrient side of it, you know, needing the carbs, the proteins, and the fats, but also all the micronutrients and antioxidants that we need every day. So, having that good food in our body will help our system flow and create better balance, which creates better health. Movement is so important. From doing yoga to walking to stretching, whatever it is you love to do, I say if you don't like to exercise, dance. Like, you know, whatever it is that you find enjoyable, just move your body, because our lifestyle is so sedentary anymore. In the cars, at the computer, at work, we often sit. You know, there's so many different environments where we're sitting and not moving. So movement is super important for creating balance. The lymphatic system relies on us to move the lymphatic fluid. So movement's super important. And on the opposite side of that, being still and meditating. So instead of moving the body, moving the mind, because our mind is constantly moving these days, right? It's that instant gratification, you know, got to have the next thing, the next, you know, on to the next. We've got to stop the mind and allow it to breathe and listen to the body. When we don't take the time to listen to the body, we miss those messages, or we write them off and say, yeah, I'll deal with you later. So I know you've talked about meditation with, you know, other people that you've had on the podcast, and it's so important to just take those moments, whether it's 5 minutes a day or you love to meditate for an hour. I mean, I love all different lengths of meditations. And so it's super important to take that time to slow the mind so that it can flow. Your intuition can flow. That inner wisdom can flow. Because if you don't hear that flow. Another one is reconnecting with nature. Something so simple.
Big proponent of that.
Right. The trees, going out and earthing or grounding yourself in the grass. You know, back in the day, we were out in the, you know, out on the earth all the time, and now we're inside all the time. So that's super important to create flow, because the earth has this wonderful energy. The plants have wonderful energy that they want to share with us to help us flow and find greater balance. Laughter is a super important one. We all need laughter. It's great medicine. It helps, you know, everything in the body flow. It gets us in the moment. We're not thinking about the past or the future when we're in a really good belly laugh.
Right.
Good exercise for the abs and all of that. So it's another great way to help us have flow and balance. And then, of course, energy therapy. If all of those daily things that you could do aren't enough and you need that extra support, you know, find an energy practitioner that you feel good with, and go get that support.
Completely agree, because I've had people, even, you know, if you're exercising every day or doing yoga or, you know, you're moving, and sometimes like, gosh, I do all these things to take care of myself. Why do I still have this pain, or why do I still, you know, have this issue or pattern in my life? And that's when I recommend energy therapy. And I mean, you know, you can obviously do that before, but like a lot of people will be like, I'm trying all these things and there's something more they need. And it's because they're only working on the physical body or whatever, you know, that kind of thing. And everything's integrated, and we're, you know, we have this wholeness. So we need to work on all the layers of the body, and including that energetic.
And it's so important to focus on that well-being of the mind, the body, the spirit, the emotional side. I mean, the mental side, every aspect of us.
Exactly. It's so important.
Energy therapy is great for that, because it doesn't just focus on one part. While I'm working with the energy body, it's impacting every one of those systems. Well, that's another reason I love it.
Of course. Of course. Any final thoughts?
I would just say, you know, listen to your intentions. What are you putting out in the universe? What are you thinking? What are you believing? Take action to create flow and balance in your life, and then get support if you need it.
Great. Oh, Lisa, thank you so much. You can hear your passion for all of this, for nutrition and just lifestyle management in general, for energy therapy, and how it's helped you, and your passion for helping other people feel better. It just comes through and shines through. And nobody can see Lisa right now, but I can. And it shines through every time you talk about this. And I totally appreciate your introduction of energy therapy for me. You work with clients at my studio as well as outside, of course, but I know they love it and love you, and I appreciate your work for helping my Ellie, because that transforms her life. And I always tell her, because of course I talk to my dog all the time like she's my child, I'm like, Mama loves you so much that she is going to do whatever she knows how to make you feel better. And energy therapy has been such a crucial part of that. So I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you being here today so that our listeners can learn more about this practice, because to some people it seems so esoteric, and it's not. It's a natural, ancient practice that, just like we said in the beginning, has just been shoved to the side as we went very scientific. It's just like, for example, on a side note, in Thailand, they use so much Eastern, ancient practices between and approaches in their medical system. But then in the last 100 years, they switched to the Western model, and then realized so many people were getting sick that they've switched back and started integrating. So it's important to have all the integration. One is not superior to the other. It's looking at the whole. So I think that's very important. So thank you again for being my guest today.
Thank you.
Yeah. And for everyone out there, just a reminder, this episode is sponsored by Embark Yoga and Holistic Health, an urban sanctuary in the heart of Indianapolis, offering yoga classes, massage therapy, and holistic practices rooted in connecting the innate wisdom of the body with the mind to help you find true healing. Through dynamic movement, deep relaxation, natural remedies, and holistic self-care, Embark's team of wellness professionals can help you remain healthy as you age, stay sane while managing stress, and feel good every day of your life. Go to embarkyoga.com to learn more. And if you're not subscribed to my podcast, I encourage you to do so today so you're the first to hear when the next one is live every Thursday. So take a few seconds, hit the subscribe button on your phone now, or go to alyssafinnig.com/podcast and make sure you get on the email list to get notified when a new episode is available. I can't wait to see you again next week. Same time, same place. Wild blessings.